there are numerous questions when it comes to your personal injury case. That's why we have Catherine Stone from Barbas Law back to break it all down for us and possibly help you at home. Catherine, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, personal injury, again, one of those wide topics that I'm sure people at home or know someone at least that have a story that they can relate to.
Well, I'm sure everyone, unfortunately, in your family or your friends has sustained an auto accident or a slip and fall. Or some other type of negligence type action. And so oftentimes the question that is foremost when someone comes to see you initially, or even on the phone before they've come to see you, is, what is my case worth? How much, is this worth it? Is it worth going through all the legal hoops and, I'm busy, I have a job, I have family. It is a time commitment. And we always tell clients, well, first of all, we need you to come in. We need all the details of the accident, because there may be elements of the accident that you think aren't important, but we do think are important. So we have to analyze how an accident happens and look at it from our perspective. And then we also have to wait and get medical records in. If you have already been provided medical care, we need to look at those medical records, because again, you have a conversation with a doctor and he may say or may allude to one thing, but then that doesn't really translate into the medical records. Or there's something that maybe you miss that we find in the medical records that can make a difference. So what we routinely tell clients is every single case is different. And we get this question a lot, or we get this comment a lot. Well, my friend had the same kind of accident and the same kind of injury, and they got X amount of money. Am I going to get the same? That's not something we can typically answer, because again, every single case is different. And I always like to say, if you'll just give the attorney the time to go through the file, make sure they have all the information they need, then you can sit down, and we do sit down with the client at a certain point in time and say, okay, here it is all laid out, and here's why we think your case is worth roughly X amount of dollars.
Catherine, I'm curious. So many times you hear, commercials, and maybe you've heard this at home, that you need to call a lawyer, right? That's like your first phone call after an accident happens. But you're talking about it like you talk to people who already have gotten treatment things. What's the benefit of calling right away versus waiting? What's the timeline people
Well,
learn?
obviously, calling right away, there's a lot of different, especially from a medical perspective, kind of guiding through, making sure that, are you treating using your health insurance? Are you treating using your PIP, your personal injury protection, through your automobile insurance? Making sure they understand what kind of coverage from the at-fault party, whether it be a business or whether it be an at-fault driver, what kind of coverage are we talking about? I mean, obviously, if someone, is involved in an auto accident and causes an accident and they don't have, very much money, and they only have a $10,000 bodily injury policy, well, it's not very smart to, if you can avoid it, go run up, $50,000 worth of medical bills, unless you absolutely need it and you have health insurance and things like that, because you're not going to be able to get that recovery. So it's important to know from the beginning what you're dealing with, and walking through the process. And then also, I had a lady come to me a couple of months ago. She had been done treating. She could have probably already settled her case months ago, but she didn't have all the documents. Well, all along, that's why we keep in touch with the clients, is to make sure we're updating the file constantly. We're getting those records so that when you do get to that end point, then we can pursue any type of settlement if it's possible.
Good stuff. Catherine, thank you again for coming in and talking about this topic. I know a lot of people can relate to it. Well, and if you have questions, perhaps give them a call, 1-800-BARBAS-LAW, or go to barbaslaw.com/knowyourrights.